Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the returning Darrell Dukes Podcast. I am your host, Darrell Dukes. Now, originally for this episode of the DDP, I was going to fill in you guys with more details about Charlie Rose and how he got fired from CBS and go over Jeff Gore's new position as the anchor, not managing editor of the CBS Evening News starting in the next couple of days. But because of wonderful new allegations from two prominent people in the world of business and media, this basically took more precedence over what I was originally going to talk about. So, let's get started. Matt Lauer. When you hear that name, you think of morning television. When you hear that name, you think of the Today Show. But when you now think of Matt Lauer, you're going to think of him as a guy who's no longer working for the National Broadcasting Company's news division. A guy who has been fired of sexual misconduct. And there are 5 different victims of this. Now, note, this goes as far back as 2001, a few years after he took over the morning show, the Today Show from Brian Gubble. And the recent sexual assault came as of 2014 when he was covering the Winter Olympics for NBC and NBC Olympics. Now, NBC every year, they have the rights to both the summer and winter games. So this gave Matt Lauer a perfectly good advantage while he's away from family for at least 2 to 3 weeks during Olympic coverage to prey and assault women sexually. He, according to reports from Variety, he has given women sex toys. He has exposed himself in front of women. He would ask producers to be more specific, who they would, and this was their words: fuck, marry, or kill. Literally. So, as a result of that, he has been fired from NBC News. Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb started their show earlier this week. Very emotional. Savannah has been with the show since 2012 and was Matt Lauer's 4th partner after NBC did a hell of a good job firing Ann Curry after a year as co-host of the Today Show after 15 years of being the newsreader after Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer issued out a statement, and I won't read it. I'm just going to give you the paradigm of it, basically apologizing for what he has done, and he's going to fight some of these allegations which are not accurate. Ending like the chairman of NBC News, this is the quote that stood out to me in the statement that he issued, and I quote here: "Our highest priority is to create a workplace environment where everybody feels safe." Now, note, this comes after the heels of Charlie Rose, who worked for 3 different organizations: PBS, CBS, and Bloomberg. While he was at CBS, he was co-host of CBS This Morning, and while I was at PBS and Bloomberg, his show, self-erroneous show, Charlie Rose, was on both networks. First run on PBS and then Bloomberg as a rerun. This comes as a shock because in the span of, and I'm looking directly from the world of media, we had Bill O'Reilly, then Eric Bolding, which he got fired from his show, Fox News, after sexual harassment allegations. He was host of a show called The Fox News Specialist. Then we have Mark Heplin, who was part of Bloomberg with the show All Due Respect, and of course with NBC News. Then Charlie Rose, now Matt Lauer. Basically, I applaud the women who are coming out, who has coming out and still coming out to their respective news organizations, HR department, or their attorneys to speak on their behalf to the HR department at their respective organizations. And this is a sign that this will not be tolerated. Women have a voice, and we're not going to sit back and let men of power humiliate us sexually. So I applaud everything that's going on in the world of journalism when it comes down to older men being in a position of power and think that their position of power can get them away with certain things. Now, speaking of men with position of power, Russell Simmons. Yes, that Russell Simmons, Reverend's brother, has been also accused of sexual assault by a screenwriter named Jenny Lumet. This incident took place in 1991, and she spoke out to the Hollywood Reporter about this. As a result, Russell Simmons has stepped down from his respective companies because of this one solo allegation. Again, the reason why I say it's one, this is the one that has been publicly revealed so far, but I have a pretty good chance that more will come from Mr. Simmons. He issued an apology to her, and he, after issued the apology, in that same statement, he said that he was going to step down from his respective companies. Now, we all know that a change is coming in this world when it comes down to sexual assault victims. It feels like to me I'm watching an SVU episode in real life, and that women are not going to take this crap anymore. So, with that being said, it's like, I'll go over to let me start from the original topic. So when I was heading into work early, the morning Matt Lauer was fired, it was shocking to me that a man in his position got fired so quickly, and it only took literally 24 hours after the person who still works for NBC News reported was with her attorney 6 p.m. Monday afternoon. And after going to detail after detail after detail after detail, they decided, or Andy-elect decided, this is the right thing to do, what's best for business. Because no matter how big you are, nobody is safe. You are not immune. You are just treated like everybody else. Now, granted, if you've been one of the lead anchors in the morning of a cash cow like the Today Show, which last I checked brought in at least $436 million a couple years ago. Trust me, my value and ethics is going to be greater than more than how much you brought in as the 20-year anchor or core anchor, to be more exact, of a franchise known as the Today Show. So I'll report on it just as is. I'll give my take on it as is, that I don't know too much about the Russell Simmons situation, I can't give my take on it. But what Matt Lauer says, I watch him here and there in the mornings between the Today Show and CBS this morning. That's why I can give my take on Matt Lauer instead of Mr. Russ Simmons. With that being said, thank you guys for listening to the Darrell Dukes Podcast. I am Darrell Dukes. Follow my social media stuff, and until we meet again, friends, stay good.